We're talking a lot about coronavirus today, not because we are in a crisis pandemic in the United States right now, but because Donald Trump's administration is so unprepared and so incoherent that in the event that we have an actual pandemic situation in the United States, we are potentially in really big trouble. And the cherry on top of this atrocity is that Donald Trump has put his Vice President Mike Pence in charge of coronavirus. And I really need everybody to understand how ridiculous and just terrorizing this is. Donald Trump has cut funding to the CDC. Donald Trump is underfunding medical research. Donald Trump fired his pandemic response team, which we'll get to. I could give you this long list. But then on top of it, he puts Mike Pence in charge of coronavirus. Mike Pence's plan to deal with HIV as governor of Indiana was he needed time to go home and prey on what he was being asked to do. Pence enabled the spread of HIV in Scott County, Indiana, 5 years ago, which led to more than 200 people getting infected. People came to Pence and said, we need a needle exchange program. We need it now. We can put it in place right away. Can we do it, Governor? And Pence said, I want to go home and prey on that. And he eventually signed the needle exchange into action, but said, I will tell you, I do not support needle exchange as drug policy, as anti-drug policy, but this is a public health emergency. So if it's an emergency, you're doing it because you agree it'll help, but you actually don't support it. I mean, completely incoherent. The guy barely believes in science. This is one of the last people that should be dealing with coronavirus, and he is the person who will be in charge, never mind involved. This is actually serious. People will die. Check out Donald Trump announcing this yesterday, talking about how Mike Pence, he said Pence is great on healthcare. He's very expert at the field. What is he talking about? I wish this were a joke. I really do, because we're screwed with these people in charge.
Hopkins. We're doing something else that's important to me because he's been terrific in many ways, but he's also very good on health care. And we really followed him very closely. A lot of states do. When Mike was governor, Mike Pence of Indiana, they've established great health care. They have a great system there, a system that a lot of the other states have really looked to and changed their systems. They wanted to base it on the Indiana system. He's very good.
Very good on health care. States were following Mike Pence's lead when he was governor in Indiana. Like, could that possibly be true? I tried to find evidence of states basing their health care decisions on what Mike Pence did in Indiana. I couldn't find any evidence of that. If anybody can find evidence that Mike Pence was leading the way on health care as governor of Indiana, please let me know. Here's another clip.
And what I've done is I'm going to be announcing exactly right now that I'm going to be putting our Vice President Mike Pence in charge. And Mike will be working with the professionals, doctors, and everybody else that's working. The team is brilliant. I spent a lot of time with the team over the last couple of weeks, but they're totally brilliant. And we're doing really well. And Mike is going to be in charge, and Mike will report back to me. But he's got a certain talent for this, and I'm going to ask Mike Pence to say a few words, please. Thank you.
A certain talent for this. We are just in such trouble here, and medical experts have responded to this totally bizarre press conference yesterday saying what Donald Trump is telling us is incoherent. Trump is incoherent about what he says is going on. And here is Trump again insisting we're totally prepared despite having no evidence whatsoever that we are prepared, while telling, I guess, some kind of jokes was Donald Trump doing.
Wash your hands, stay clean. You don't have to necessarily grab every handrail unless you have to. You know, you do certain things that you do when you have the flu. I mean, view this the same as the flu. When somebody sneezes, I mean, I try and bail out as much as possible with the sneezing. I had a man come up to me a week ago. I hadn't seen him in a long time, and I said, how you doing? He said, fine, fine. He hugs me, kisses. I said, are you well? He says, no. He said, I have the worst fever and the worst flu. And he's hugging and kissing me. So I said, excuse me. I went there, I started washing my hands. So you have to do that. You know, this is, I really think, doctor, you want to treat this like you treat the flu, right? whatever happens, we're totally prepared. We have the best people in the world.
Now, okay, I have to, I've said from day one, I said, when Trump says something I agree with, I will tell you. I also bail out when people start coughing and sneezing. I actually do something at airports that my girlfriend finds very embarrassing, which is, you know, those long hallways often at the airport where you're either walking down, there's gates on the left and right, and you're getting to your gate, or sometimes to get under the tarmac, you go on these really long hallways to get from one section of the terminal to the other. I'll be wheeling my my rollerboard bag. Someone will just cough right into the air a foot away from me. I will just immediately beeline away from them and chart a course parallel to the one where I was. It's totally obvious why I'm doing it. It's because of the person coughing without covering their mouth. My girlfriend gets very embarrassed, but I bail out as well. I was at a cafe over the weekend working on some show stuff. I sit down with my cappuccino and my bagel, and the guy next to me, it was sort of like a bar set up with high stools where you sit. Guy next to me starts a wet cough right into the air. I just grabbed my stuff and moved. He gave me a look like I was being mean. No, mean. You were the problem, sir. You were coughing into the air. So I agree with Trump there. He's completely right about bailing out when people are coughing like that. But back to Mike Pence running this thing. I have a hard time imagining a worse person to run coronavirus for the United States. And that's often the outcome with Donald Trump. What is the worst possible solution to this issue? That's the one that Donald Trump picks. Mike Pence rejects the scientific consensus on multiple issues. How the hell do you put Mike Pence in charge of this? And this is the risk. He disagrees with the intelligence experts on intelligence. He believes he knows more than his generals about the military. He disagrees with medical experts about how prepared we are on coronavirus. It's tragic, and I said it before, and I tweeted about it, and I'll say it again. When people say I'm not into politics, it just, man, you know, I'm into other stuff. Very quickly, we are going to realize here, tragically, how much politics is life and death. If you didn't know it already, and I hope that most of the people in the audience already did know that, we are very quickly going to realize how life and death politics is. It's tragic. Do you feel like you just don't have enough time to become as intellectually well-rounded as you would like to be, that there are just not enough hours in your week for you to read all of the books that you want to read? One of our sponsors is called Blinkist, and it's an app that lets you consume an entire nonfiction book in 15 minutes. It's only about $8 a month, but you can try it for free for a week and get 25% off a subscription when you go to Blinkist.com/Pakman. What Blinkist does is take thousands of popular nonfiction books and condense them into either text or audio that you can read or listen to in just 15 minutes. And what you get is all of the most important ideas and information from the book. Imagine being able to listen to an entire nonfiction book in the amount of time it takes you to drive or walk home from work. I just finished listening to Catch and Kill by Ronan Farrow. Super interesting book, probably already familiar to some in my audience, and a really interesting take at how Harvey Weinstein and his alleged transgressions were brought to light. Excellent investigative piece. Blinkist has totally transformed how I consume information. I love it. Of course, I read a book in its entirety when I can, but there are simply just so many books that I want to read and would not have the time for if it weren't for Blinkist. They have books on politics, economics, philosophy, science, you name it. You can try it out yourself, totally free for a week, and get 25% off if you decide to subscribe just by going to Blinkist.com/Pakman. I've put the link right underneath this video. Like the rest of us, I bet you're going into 2020 thinking about what you didn't get around to in 2019 and your goals for the new year. If you want to work towards being your best self in 2020, understand more about the world around you, and make sure that your time is well spent, then Blinkist is for you.